So another thing before I let you guys go is that super light profile of that coffee that we had. When we were away on that trip, remember it was super hard to grind. I was like, what the heck? Because it was so weird because I had roasted this coffee at this profile, which I call light, and it was fine. And when I compare it to their sample roast, theirs is definitely a couple shades darker. You can't really tell on the camera here, but trust, okay? This is quite a bit more tan, has more yellow in it versus this has more brown in it, right? So I was like, yeah, for sure. But I mean, we knew that already, but I just wanted to come in here, you know, now that we're back at the lab, is just kind of go look at everything. And yeah, this was just definitely too light, but I wanted to look at the numbers, so I'm going to look back at this little roast profile, the last one we did. It does not like keep track of all your roasts, and I do that manually. I didn't for this one actually, but we can look at the profile itself. All right, so then we hit yellow at 230, first crack at 520, development at 525, okay, and then a cool down at 6 minutes 10. So a total roast time of 6 minutes. All of this looks and sounds pretty good. Pretty good. Like, to me, it doesn't put off any weird signals. 20 minutes, 25, yeah, 5 minutes of development seems okay to me. It looks very normal just because the batch size is so small. What was it? Maybe 100 gram, right? But yeah, so now we know that maybe there was just something off, and we'll play around with it and see what we can find something different. But to me, it didn't look on paper and in the roast profile, it didn't look that crazy. So I just wonder what happened. I wish I took better notes, because sometimes I think with this little sample roaster, it's like you just kind of like trust it's going to do everything automatically, right? But yeah, it'll be interesting to go back in and see what's up, what happened here. If we cut these open, maybe like the lighter color ones, you can see what's up. Definitely super tan on the inside. You see that chaff rotating around. So what I'm seeing here, and that you can't see, it's really small, is that closer to the inner part of this bean is more tan. It's not the same color, basically, and that's a really easy tell that it's not roasted evenly. Let me just try to grind a few in the ode. Super lively. It smells really good. We can just try it really fast. For the sake of science. All right, you see how I got hung up there? I won't do that again. But for experimental sake, we are going to just cup it. Wow, it is incredibly light. Don't spill any. Ooh, wow, so light. A little sniffy sniff. Wow, but it smells good. Like tomatoes right off the vine. When you break it and you smell that the stem where you broke it off, it's that. So a little vegetal, a little gardeny, a little herby. Recently you guys have been sending me a lot of roast curves. Just be patient if I don't get back to you right away. You know, if your picture quality is off, I'm gonna be like kind of squinting, having a hard time if I can't read it or whatever, right? But it's cool, you know. The grounds did something a little different. I feel like they're so heavy, like they're so dense still because of not being roasted all the way. Makes sense that when you cup darker roast, you see this very, like, it almost looks like a muffin top of grounds that I've collected, because it floats, you know, it's so like less dense, and it's very fluffy. All right, so wow. It smells like cardamom tea or something, you know, super tea-like. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, I'm turned off." Yeah, me too. But this is to test, you know, we want to learn. I was asking Hasea for like a roast defect like a tasting sample or some crap, or even a class. Like, what does underdeveloped taste like? And then what are the nuances of underdeveloped? What are the nuances of overdeveloped? What are the nuances of like, how far can a coffee go before it loses that blueberry note and turns into jam? Things like that. Like, what are the parameters for that for a roaster? Because you can definitely, like, if I take my Ethiopia and I roast it just a smidge longer, I get more chocolate in there. It gets sweeter versus brighter, right? I lose the acidity. On the spectrum of taste, you can have acidity, you can have sweetness. You can't have max of both. You just can't, because they're on opposite sides of the taste spectrum. So says the theory, okay? So that's why when we have really great attributes of both, of acidity and sweetness and stuff, we're like, ooh, that's a very good coffee. And those score like into the 90s, right? Oh my gosh, look at that thing. I'm gonna take a picture so you can see how freaking light it is. Oh yeah, you can tell. Get out of heat. You can tell for sure. All right. All of the berry notes are there. Absolutely no sweetness, no body, which is cool. There's like a cinnamon thing in there, a vanilla, barley tea. Like Korean, you ever go to Korean barbecue, they serve you barley tea, tastes like that. It's not lively, meaning it's not like jumping out at you. It's actually kind of muddled. It's kind of like like a maybe when you have a cocktail, just because we were in Vegas and we were drinking a lot. When you have a cocktail, when they muddle the orange, you know, when you have like a little old fashioned or something, like, I think this is maybe what people call like that cinnamon roast, but that can't be true, because you would never want a coffee to be jamming up your grinder like that. So this is coffee tea. The body is nil, nothing. And you know what? It's coming alive as it's cooling, as it should. Underripe cherry, so very like light colored cherries, not dark colored cherries. I mean, you could tell like the coffee has potential. As it's cooling down, I'm starting to get a lot more fruit, a lot more red, pink fruit. The muddleness is going away because as it's cooling, it's getting brighter. That cinnamon vanilla thing. Okay. So, underdeveloped, you can taste the potential of that very lively acidity is just almost there. You're not satiated as a coffee drinker and lover because there is no body or sweetness. And I feel like there's this just, instead of the base being like that chocolate thing that kind of like sweeps through a lot of coffees as they're roasted longer, is this garden. There's a garden and you have your tomatoes, and then you have some like kind of underripe berries that are on the more like sour side. There's some developed ones in there too, some nice little like, you know, developed little berries and stuff, maybe little raspberries and like little like tiny little barely red strawberries. And that's kind of what I'm getting. Somebody put like cinnamon sticks in the garden. I don't hate it, actually. I mean, it's underdeveloped, but because maybe I'm just biased because I know what this coffee can be. It's like, but I do taste those berries and those very delicate flavors that are really nice, and they just need to come alive a little bit more by roasting it a little longer, and it would be more balanced. And yeah, I wish you could taste it because it's not repulsive to be so underdeveloped, which it's kind of messing with me. So that's kind of cool. It's fun. It's a little mind-bending fun. I don't hate it. It's just very thin. The flavors are getting, it's really growing on me actually as I keep drinking it.